This is going to be your guide for using Hatterene in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now at first glance, Hatterene looks like a perfect tank. Well, pretty much just any bulky Pokemon with Magic Bounce sounds like a perfect tank. So we have the Magic Bounce, no status moves are going to get on us, and that is amazing, because one of the biggest things that can shut down a non-steel or non-poison type tank Pokemon is Toxic. You can't be toxic, you can't be taunted, you just get to do whatever you want with that Magic Bounce, and it's amazing. Now, 57 hit points, kinda low, but it's kinda saved by the 95 defense and 103 on the special defense, and that's where we have to do things a little different for this how to use by comparing it to other tank Pokemon. So, how tanky is Toxapex? Like, Toxapex is kind of similar, low hit points, high defenses, so what is the actual difference between a 100 defense and a 152 defense when you have like some split effort value investment, and we're just looking at the average tankiness of this Pokemon? So, Woodhammer does 33 to 40%, Solar Beam, which is just kind of like a special attack replacement, so I'm just trying to show like a powerful physical attack, a powerful special attack, that's going to be 24 to 29%, then we pull up the Hatterene. Hatterene's going to be 44%, and then 29% for Woodhammer and Solar Beam on the lowest. So that's about 33% more damage taken, with Toxapex having 50% more base defenses. It's just the weirdness of Pokemon. But another thing I wanted to look at was the Mega Sableye. How do we compare with the Mega Sableye, since it is a Magic Bounce Pokemon that kind of gets to do all kind of filthy setup that at once, and Mega Sableye quite a bit tankier, but not really too far away on the stats, and the benefit that the Hatterene is going to have is that it gets leftovers, it gets Citrus Berry, it gets an item. Sableye is giving up that item for the Magic Bounce, however, Sableye was really filthy because it could Prankster, so you Prankster Calm Mind, now you're getting the benefit of that Calm Mind before the opponent attacks you, or the benefit of that Will-O-Wisp cutting the opponent's attack in half before anything kind of goes off. With Hatterene, 29 speed, that's not happening, so we're always going to be taking full big hits. And then we have the Magic Powder, that's going to be the signature move of Hatterene, changes target's type to Psychic. That's actually pretty good. So once again, let's hop on over to these damage calculations and see what happens, because by removing same type attack boosting, we are cutting out a third of the damage from the opponent, which is going to be equivalent to +1 on both of our defenses, as long as they are not using same type attack boosted moves. So that actually brings us into some other weird stuff. So let's just say they're at -1 attack, and then we're at +1 defense, that's going to be 20 damage, or like 20% of our health from the Woodhammer. However, if we were at +2, and then 0, that's going to be 22%, and then -2, and then +0, that's going to be 22%. This happens because there's diminishing returns on stat boosting. That if you boost a stat 2 times, so if you're at +2 stages, that's going to be double the damage. However, to double that damage, you have to go to +6 by adding 4 more. So if you can actually just kind of tag in that Magic Powder on an opponent, it's going to be better than having that +1 if you already have the +1. So you're just going to be getting multiplicative benefit out of it. But the problem is, you can only use it once. So much like the Phalanx No Retreat, it's cool to have those stats, but if we end up using the Magic Powder, then it's going to be move slot syndroming us pretty hard. And that also means that if they're Psychic type, we can't hit them with Psychic moves, so we lose one of our stab options physically because it then becomes resisted. That also means we gain that resistance. Which brings us to the typing breakdown for Hatterene. We have Psychic Fairy, so anyone that's run Gardevoir Generation 6, 7, 8, they know what this Pokemon is up to. Some of those weaknesses, they kind of get in the way. Ghost with Mimikyu is a pretty big problem. Steel, you're just going to run into that, especially with Max Steel Spike blowing up Fairy-type Pokemon these days. And then Poison, not super common, but it'll be around, and then you just kind of have to deal with it. The Immunity Dragon is nice, though. 4 times resistant to fighting. Cool. Max Knuckle just means nothing. And then Psychic resistance, it's not like people are blowing things up with Alakazam, so you don't get to like switch in and then feel good about it. Psychic is just there as that kind of useful defense. But what can we do moveset wise? And actually, to get a better idea of Hatterene's moveset, let's go to Bulbapedia, and that's it. And that's where all of my hopes and dreams for Hatterene fall apart, because we don't have any way of boosting our defenses, we don't have any big recovery options. This Pokemon just gets to Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, because a weird thing about Hatterene's stats is that this 136 special attack is just here. Also, it has 90 attack for no reason. Like, I would prefer that this was like a 70 attack, and then we have 105 defense, 113 special defense, maybe extra points on the hit point somewhere. Like, it is a weird distribution, but you can tell this is put here kind of like when a Mega gets +20 to an ineffective stat, because if it got that plus 20 to its speed or offense, it'd be super busted. I think they were trying to be cautious with Hatterene, but at the same time, they made Toxapex last generation. So I think they could have pushed the tankiness or the moveset of this Pokemon just a little more, but they didn't. So that brings us to Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Mystical Fire for coverage, that way you can hit Steel-type Pokemon. For the most part, Steel-type Pokemon aren't going to be hitting you with special attacks, so I would prefer the Will-O-Wisp, but we don't get Will-O-Wisp. We have Life Dew, which only heals you for a quarter, which is effectively useless when you're doing some kind of setup. I just wanted to put that there to show you guys it's a Life Dew, but we need Recover. We need getting half of our health back, because what happens in all too many tank setup situations is that if you're just barely outpacing a heavy damage sweeper Pokemon, you know, they're dealing like 45% of your health. So then you recover, you get like 4 extra hit points from that recover, the leftovers kicks in as well, so you're like barely eking out as much health as you can get. But then after like 3 uses of Recover, you gain enough of a hit point cushion to where you can Calm Mind again. You can use some kind of defensive boosting again, and then it does less damage, and it's only 2 recovers. And then you defensive boost, and it's only 1 recover, and you defensive boost, and then you recover, and now you're at like full hit points and the opponent can't kill you. You're not able to do that if you're only healing 1/4. So Life Dew is terrible outside of doubles. And it's not like it does something like, oh, in singles it heals half, and then in doubles it heals a quarter for each. Nope, none of that. And then I don't even know what to put for the last move then, because like all of our sustain is Draining Kiss, Leftovers, which is where the special attack is kind of okay. Like 1 Calm Mind and a Draining Kiss is not going to be like healing half of your health, but if you're not threatened, then I guess you're going to be okay. Charm cuts the opponent's attack by 2, but if they switch out, all of that work goes away, and then if they bring that Pokemon back in, you have to go and Charm it. So the only way the Charm works is if you get a perfect switch prediction into the Pokemon they want to use. Like if they bring an Excadrill or Steel-type Pokemon, and you Charm it on that exact turn because you get the God Outplay, yeah, but you have to do that every time the Pokemon switches out and switches back in. Technically, depending on where you are with like Calm Minds and Mystical Fires, it can work, but it's just infinitely better to have Iron Defense and then keep the defensive boosting on yourself all the time, so you don't have to worry about this every single time it happens. Or they give up a Pokemon, so you don't get a chance to predict with the Charm, and then you get blown up by some kind of really heavy-hitting Steel-type Pokemon. Like, the Charm can still work. It's just a lot more annoying to get going, and then you already have to have Calm Minds. So it's like a mix that, you know, you need to bring in Hatterene against a special attacking Pokemon, get the Calm Minds, they have to realize late what's going on, switch into a Draining Kiss or a Charm so you get enough health back, and then you can start charming Draining Kiss behind Leftovers. It's kind of a mess, but it's the best way of getting physical attacks off you, because Sableye has that Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp plus Calm Mind plus the Magic Bounce is what makes Sableye a god. Nothing defensive, like not even a withdraw. I would have dealt with a withdraw, because then we could maybe do something. However, then that means like Draining Kiss probably not going to be enough to heal us up, and Toxapex still gets blown up even with Recover, and we're less tanky than Toxapex, so that's kind of bad. And I guess that means like Magic Powder technically just gives us like the +1 perma defense in a way, and then, but not even perma, because much like with Charm, whenever they switch in, you have to use Magic Powder again, so I guess Charm is just the better option. This is going to be your Hatterene moveset. Go for it. Good luck, have fun. Wait a second. Calm Mind, Fairy Move, Fire Move, full hit point defensive investment. Let's see who you really are. God damn it, it's just a worse Clefable, isn't it? I had so much hope for like Hatterene being really strong when the Dynamax came out. I was like, oh, look at those stats. Oh, look at this potential Pokemon. And that didn't take too deep of a dive into its moveset, but I haven't really seen it on the battle spot that much, or the battle stadium now. Like, there's good Generation 8 Pokemon, there's really good Generation 7 Pokemon. I was hoping that the power creep would carry Hatterene above Clefable, but without that healing, it doesn't really do that. Even with the healing, I don't think it would be that way, because here's something hilarious. Clefable is tankier than the Hatterene. So if we just have, like, I have the same things, just kind of show you guys the fairness of it and whatnot, but 43-26 compared to, well, we need to get rid of this -2, 44-29. So the Clefable is better, and I would argue that Unaware is a much better ability, because without defensive boosting, you need to nullify Swords Dance in some way. Normally that would be with Will-O-Wisp or Iron Defense or something like that, or by just not being aware, just pretending that the opponent doesn't even have a Swords Dance to begin with, and now you are only on neutral footing with a fully defensive invested Pokemon. That is why Clefable is such a baller. Also, Hatterene doesn't get Moonblast. Now, Hatterene does have a higher special attack, which, like, offsets the damage, and the Draining Kiss thing is kind of weird, but, I mean, this is just, like, big on the Clefable, and it has carried me so many games, and it also wants to run leftovers. Clefable just does the same things, but better, and with less risk. Yeah, Clefable can get toxic, but a big problem is, there's a lot less status in this generation than I've noticed in other generations. Like, out of the 50 or so Rotom I've seen, I've been Will-O-Wisp twice. Out of the 70 or so battles I've had on the Battle Stadium, I've been glared 2 times by all 2 Sandaconda I've seen, and Leech Seed into Magic Bounce is worthless anyways because Grass-type Pokemon can't be seeded, so it's not like you're going to get really sick Leech Seed play and then start getting the benefits of that. So Magic Bounce is really good for, like, keeping that Toxic off and keeping all of that off, but I haven't really seen it as much. People are kind of greeting on personal setup more than trying to slow down the opponent, and I think that's also because, like, Dynamax, since you can just get so much off of, like, a Max Airstream turning you into a sweeper, or you can reduce their stats via the Dynamax move instead of actually having to, like, risk something getting Magic Bounce. And also, people are finally learning that Stealth Rocks is a trash move, and they are not using it as much. I've seen maybe 2 Stealth Rocks as well, and I got a free win on setup every time because of it. So more setup means less Stealth Rocks. I don't think it's because Rapid Spin was buffed or anything. I haven't even seen Rapid Spin be used like that. So it's not like Generation 6. What made Sableye so good in Generation 6 is that you would lead Sableye, they would lead Ferrothorn, you would, like, get that Mega Predict into Stealth Rocks and it's fine. Or, like, 6v6 or something. Or what you do is you don't predict them. You just kind of get a free Calm Mind or a free Will-O-Wisp. By not Mega Evolving, you hold on to your Prankster, and then you Mega Evolve, and then you stay safe forever. Or you, like, switch in your Mega Sableye when it's, like, midway through the game, they bring back in their Ferrothorn, they throw out the stray Stealth Rocks, and then you switch in your Sableye, and you get that Magic Bounce switch. Those plays just don't happen in Generation 8. So the power of Magic Bounce has been reduced because of it, and Hatterene isn't as tanky as other Magic Bounce users, so it kind of creates an unfortunate situation where it's just not as good as Clefable because of Moonlight. Another thing I was looking into, what about Eviolite Hatterene? Hatterene is, like, kind of somewhere between Toxapex and Hatterene. So we have 33% and that 38%. Hatterene is going to be the 44%. Without leftovers, it doesn't really work out. So, I mean, normally when you look for an Eviolite Pokemon, you want similar hit points. Same hit points, not too far behind on the defenses, but too far behind enough to where it's like, yeah, just leftovers on the Hatterene does about the same thing anyways. So it might come in clutch in, like, very rare situations, but it's not really, like, mattering because Hatterene isn't really that insane of a Pokemon anyways. I guess Hatterene is going to be relegated to just Trick Room duty, that in doubles, this is a pretty durable Pokemon. You have the freedom of the Citrus Berry because Magic Bounce. Like, you're not getting taunted. That's really good. You don't have to worry about any, you know, counter setup trickery going on. You just sit there, and you do have to worry about Fake Out, but I mean, there's other ways of stopping that, like Quick Guard on your other Pokemon maybe. But you just come in, Magic Bounce, Trick Room happens, and then you can do things. Light Screen Reflect to kind of keep, like, a bulky Trick Room sweeper as healthy as possible. Like, that sounds really good for Dracovish if you want to do that, because I still think he's pretty nasty in doubles, and Light Screen Reflect is going to make it from not getting one shot, potentially turning into a 3-hit KO Pokemon, to get multiple turns of destruction like that. I was trying to compare it to a Oranguru. Oranguru actually a tankier Pokemon. So, I mean, Hatterene looks like it wants to be a lot bulkier than it is, but it just isn't. Other options you can run in doubles, Heal Pulse, Life Dew. Heal Pulse is just going to be 50% to that one Pokemon. Life Dew is going to try to keep you both alive. I think Hatterene's just good for, like, very safe Trick Room, and then Heal Pulsing to keep the opponent alive, so maybe that's just going to be better right there. Magic Powder, once again, we get all those benefits of the Magic Powder, and then you Magic Powder someone, and then you hit them with, like, a Ghost-type move, or a Dart-type move. So now you're just kind of, like, creating one-hit KOs instantly, which is pretty cool, and then the opponent does less damage if they survive. So yeah, that's kind of it. And then just, like, Dazzling Gleam because we have special attack and you can, like, chip in damage, but that might not be the best way to run it if you already have, like, all of your offensive power baked into another Pokemon. And then going back to the Hatterene really quick, I think this Pokemon can still be very successful. Like, any Calm Mind matchups against special attacking Pokemon ends your opponent's day. So if they only bring, like, one physical and then 2 special attackers, yeah, you just set up against them. But even then, like, the Draining Kiss, feels bad on that sustain. So if it is like an overwhelmingly powerful like Specs Pokemon just doing crazy amounts of damage, you might not be able to keep up with that Calm Mind and Draining Kiss, and then it depends on what we're doing. Like if you are going to be only going up against special attacking Pokemon, then that is where we will have to swap it around. So that's going to be the Calm Nature. And yeah, just do that, and just like have like a hard physical dedicated tank as well that covers for Hatterene's weaknesses. If we look at the weaknesses once again, Toxapex really likes that, doesn't it? So I mean, like full physical defense Toxapex with a full special defense Hatterene sounds like a pretty good core, but Hatterene without that sustain, without just like being able to come in, take a hit and recover and stuff, makes it a lot more of a liability, and I'm not really sure how to feel about that. But I think there are situations where this Pokemon can tear it up. And then the biggest thing is that we have technical records. So TRs are supposed to replace move tutors. So I don't really see like a mid-generational situation where we're just going to be like, oh, suddenly recovers now a tutor and Hatterene is good. I don't see that really being too much of a possibility. I mean, where's anything? This Pokemon's a vibe check. Why doesn't it have Strength Sap? Why doesn't it have Pain Split? Recover would just make so much sense, and even Gardevoir has the Will-O-Wisp. So, it's very unfortunate that we don't have, like, that big sustain. I mean, we have seen it before, though. Like, Strength Sap, a lot of Pokemon got it for Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. So, I mean, maybe Game Freak are just kind of, like, being safe with those Pokemon, and then for the next game, or the mid-generational game, or whatever ends up happening, they give it, like, an extra Egg move for the Recover, Strength Sap, something like that. That'd be pretty cool. But until then, I think it was just like, yeah, this Pokemon is one good sustain from being, like, super busted. It's usable now, but it's not, like, incredibly reliable. Pretty nice doubles Pokemon for Trick Room, though, so consider using it that way. And then I do have the G-Max. So Gigantamax, Hatterene, can't use it competitively as of yet, or as of recording this video. Can't use it on the battle spot or anything. Doesn't look like it's going to be in VGC. Sounds really good. You get to hit it with a big fairy move, and then you get to confuse both opponents. That's cheeky on the Trick Room, and can have some really sick combos. So, could be usable, but Hatterene Gigantamax, I mean, it does work because you're hit point scaling, but you have to Trick Room, not take too much damage, then Gigantamax, then Smite, and then hope you're good from there, and then hope that, like, maybe you have another Pokemon with, like, Paralysis, so you're going Parafusion and stuff, and then maybe splashing in a Flinch. But that's just too much work for your Gigantamax when there's other better Pokemon, just not Dynamax. But why go through all that work when you can just Dynamax a stronger Pokemon and win? So, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.